So.
Do you want to know what we're going to ask you?
No.
Of course not.
We don't prepare.
Why?
We don't prepare our executives.
Channel 9 is not a prepped interview. That's a bad idea. You lose the whole gestalt of the thing if you prep the guy.
Absolutely.
That's totally bad.
So who are you?
I'm Chris Jones. I'm Vice President in the Core Operating System Group. Work on the Longhorn client and the work we're doing.
You have to put a quarter in the jar.
Wait,
we came up with a new name last Thursday.
Can I prepay? There we go. That's 40 free name changes. I work on the Windows Vista team.
Excellent.
We announced our name last week, and some of us are still getting used to it. After having worked on the project for quite some time.
We are too. We both caught ourselves saying it on the way over here.
Windows Vista, Windows Vista, yeah. Windows Vista, Windows Vista.
We're going to have a nice beer bash someday with all the quarters that we're sticking in the jar. So, what do you do? I mean, you're running the Windows Vista team. Yeah. Are you in charge of building it? Are you? You're obviously not Jim Alchin. You can't change the color of the start button to purple, right?
No, I can't do that. Look, the designers who work on the team can. I run the teams that do the shell, which is the Windows user interface, the browser, the graphics platform, that includes the graphics stack, the new LDDM driver model, which we'll have to rename because it's the Windows Vista driver model, not the Longhorn device driver model. Yep. Display driver model. All the work that happens in the Avalon Group user GDI presentation subsystems, our work around gaming, parental controls, things like that. So the experiences you think about if you're running a Windows system like Vista Home, Vista Professional, that's the stuff you see. It's in my group.
Right. Now, on the way over here, we saw the tents preparing for the Beta 1 party. So I have a feeling Beta 1 is shipping.
Beta 1, we're on track for the end of this month. The July.
And what's
27th,
the date today?
July 26th today.
Yep.
July 27th tomorrow. We'll sign off in the morning, and then afternoon, build should be available. People can start downloading it, and we hope people have a good time with it. I've been self-hosted for 3 months now on my laptop.
What does self-hosting mean?
Self-host is when you, we call it eating your own dog food. It's when you take the product and use it every day, just like a normal user would. So I've been using it for email, browsing.
You have XP up there right now.
That one's not XP. That's Windows Server 2003 x64. I've been running that for a couple of years. Cutler made me turn that on. And then I'll switch over. This is my Windows Vista system right there.
Ooh,
running 5112. I just installed it. It's asking me to run eTrust. And then my laptop, I'll pull it out for you, just to prove that it's all good. My laptop, I've been running Windows Vista on it. That guy. I'll turn it on.
No, that's not a laptop. That's a tablet PC.
Yeah.
So there is a tablet PC version.
Oh yeah, there is. Oh yeah, there is.
All right, there were some rumors yesterday.
It's not in the Beta 1 build, but the tip and all the inking support and all that, they've got private bits available. It's probably actually all in the Beta 2 builds that we're all off now to the races. I mean, We've been building Beta 2 for a few weeks now, in parallel with Beta 1.
So tell me a little bit, because you're new to the team, right? Or tell me a little bit about your background.
I've been with the company about 14 years, 16 if you count internships. My last job before Microsoft was day camp counseling. So I've been quite some time.
Somebody's going to read into that. That's the skill that you need.
There has been some preparation that has helped me do my job better. Yes, that's true. And I worked on a variety of different products. Worked on Publisher as a program manager coming into the company. Did Internet Explorer for 5 years from 1995 through 2000, and then I did Windows XP. So the job I have now on Windows Vista, I had for Windows XP. So did Windows XP start to finish. And then I spent a couple years in the program management team in the Core Operating System Group working for Brian Valentine on the Windows Vista product. But my job was vision, feature set, core kernel, engineering systems, and our overall planning process and system for how we build Windows. And then about 3 weeks ago, I moved over to this job.
Wow. Tell me, can you put on the whiteboard or something a little bit about how Windows Vista is built?
You know, in what sense?
Well, like how many build labs around campus?
We have. We have.
We're going to be talking to the build team, but since you're
we have what we call a VBL system, and so that means there's a main build lab here, and all the code comes into main, and each sort of major team has their own VBL. So if in the client group we actually have a couple. We have VBL UX, and this is where the shell comes in, and IE. We have VBL, WCP, and this is where Avalon and user come in. And basically what happens is every day we pull a build out of main, and whichever VBL is ready to go in, we take their code into main. They actually have to pass, one of the things we did in Windows Vista in the project is we put a set of what we call quality gates in place, which is a set of tests you have to run before your code can go into main. Because what happens is once the code goes into main, it propagates out to every VBL.
Is that called reverse integration?
RI is when you RI is the process to go in, and integrate is the process to go out. Okay. So you RI your features, sort of weird. You think you'd be integrate and then reverse integrate to take things back. It doesn't work that way. You reverse integrate to put the features into main, and then you integrate to take the features back out.
Got it.
And actually each VBL then has actually sub-branches underneath it, which are the feature branches, where teams do their work. So the teams get their work into the VBL then goes into main, then that code gets propagated out to the other branches.
Okay, I just asked that because Larry Osterman wrote on his blog about his team reverse integrating a week or so ago.
Yeah, so that's how the build system works overall. And one of the things, I mentioned Beta 1 and Beta 2 are in parallel. We forked the main build for Beta 1 about 5 weeks ago, something like that, and started our Beta 2 builds.
Got it.
So we got Beta 2 builds going. We've actually had several VBLs already for Beta 2.
Now, why do you guys do that?
Allows us to work in parallel. So what we do is, these work happens in the feature branches. So what happened is when Beta 1 was getting ready to go, we locked down the main lab. We only take bug fixes in. But then not every developer is working on bug fixing for Beta 1, and so it's sort of inefficient for us not to let them go. So they work in their feature branches. Then when we fork the main code, the VBLs can start moving in.
Now this is a lot of, to my mom. My mom's going, what? What does this have to do with
this is like if you
using a computer, right?
There's a difference between how you drive a car and how you build the car. This is how you build the car.
Yeah.
We can talk about how you drive the car.
Yeah.
We got a lot of the stuff that we've done in Windows Vista is about making driving the car easier, not just improving the way that we build it so you have a higher quality car, a more secure car, a car you can be confident in.
I just wanted to cover a little bit of this because a lot of people who watch Channel 9 are developers.
Yeah.
And they build, smaller, a little bit smaller projects usually.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And it's interesting to see some of the behind the scenes and get a good overview of that.
I mean, it's the largest software development project in the world. And one of the things that we're really investing in is retooling our engineering processes so that we can really efficiently take in the volume of code that gets generated by the developers that produce it here.
Right. Where do I... You're a former developer, right?
Yeah, only for like a summer. So.
But you have a rep as being a really good manager for developers.
Yeah.
Developers really like you, and
that's good to know.
Find that you're an interesting leader and get stuff done.
Yeah.
For developers outside, what's cool about Windows Vista? I mean, what should they pay attention to going into PDC?
Well, the thing, we say confident, clarity, connected, and I think about
clear.
Clear.
We just checked that with
I like bringing clarity. Clear is a little bit harder for me to take, although the windows are clear, so yeah. That's a nice touch. I think the key thing for me is to think about your application the same way. Confidence. People don't have confidence in software today. Yeah. It's too insecure. It's too unreliable. It's too hard to use. And the way I say it to people is, we used to build cars for auto mechanics, and now we've got to build them for drivers. And I think that this whole notion of making software for people that they can really use and be useful. We ship 120 million PCs a year. It's lots and lots of people using PCs. And so for us, in Windows Vista, a big focus was performance, reliability, security, a lot of the stuff you don't see anymore.
Yeah.
Your system will go into standby, and it won't be the hot laptop in your briefcase that you put away and it stayed for 3 hours, and because the screen kept running, it was really hot. That's a bad experience for customers, and so that will go away. It's kind of hard feature to demo. Yeah. It's the feature customers really care about. You won't get malware and spyware on your computer anymore.
Why not?
Because we have great anti-spyware, anti-malware support built into the system. Plus, we've increased the protection so that by default people don't run as administrator. I mean, in the past, you ran as administrator, which meant that any code that got on your system had full privileges to the box. And we're preventing that in Windows Vista, which is a great change for us.
How do I, as customer outside, how do I know that's not just a bunch of marketing hooey or hype or whatnot?
The only way you'll know is a year after we deploy Windows Vista what people's experiences are like.
Right.
But when you talk to people about their computer and they call up product support or they have a problem, like sometimes it's not so great to be from Microsoft. Like everybody talks from Microsoft. Hey, you tell your friends you're from Microsoft. What's the first question? I have this problem with my PC.
Yep.
You should come over and help me. And we got to make that go away. So for me, the real metric's going to be, did we make it a year later? People have just a better experience where these things about security, performance, reliability, they just go away. And then they can enjoy the value. But if we don't get that done, the value won't shine through. So it's a huge focus for us. And I think it's got to be a huge focus for developers. That is a new bar that we've got to set every year. Are we doing the most we can to have people feel confident?
Let's sit back
Sit down. Yeah, you're looking uncomfortable there. Holding up. A little tired?
yeah, that's a 30-pound tripod here. Let me put the tripod down. Sorry about that.
Everybody throw off.
Hey, you talk. Who are these guys? That's Jeff Sandquist and Frank from Wagner Instrument. So where should we go now?
And then you get into clarity. And what's clarity about? Well, the things you'll see right off the bat on Windows Vista is you're going to see, especially if you have a new graphics capable system, you're going to see transparency, you're going to see window animation, you're going to see desktop compositing.
Now, do you see that in Beta 1?
Beta 1, yeah, it's in.
Awesome.
Yeah, Beta 1 build right here.
And,
so here I've got the Beta 1 build up and running.
Are you going to give us a demo?
If you want me to give you a demo, I'll give you a demo.
Are we allowed to show this?
I won't give you the full meal deal, but so here's Windows Vista. You can see the little name down here. Windows Vista. We changed at least part of it.
Cool.
And now if I want to go start up Notepad, I can go start up Notepad, and there we've got the new search and programs. You know how your programs menu used to explode all over the place when you clicked it? Now it doesn't do that anymore. So I can click up and run Notepad, and here's Notepad, and you'll notice that we've got the compositing desktop running.
Now maximize that again.
So here's Notepad maximized.
I'm sorry.
Here's this, and then it animates down, animates back up.
Do that again, just so people can catch it.
So there you've got Notepad animating down, animating back up, animating down, animating back up. Are you sick yet? And we've got our documents folder here. Here's Windows Explorer running documents, and I have a view on all my documents. And basically, the new virtual folders, this is a list of every document that's on my system. In fact, it's nicer than that because what I have running here is offline documents. So you see the computer location here is some unreadable name, TKZaw Pro 11. I'm running roaming documents. Okay. So all the documents are cached on the server, or they're stored on the server, and they're cached on the client. Well, what that means is that I get this nice, great, easy integrated search feature across my documents. But for a management perspective, for IT, they're all up there. And so if the machine dies, if the hard disk fails, I just reinstall the operating system, restart my computer, my documents are automatically provisioned down, it works great. So this notion of documents being stored centrally, whether in the cloud or whether in your internet, and then cached locally is key. And then I can type and search stuff. So if I want to search for, type and search for Longhorn, notice that it's filtering down on Longhorn. And then if I want to filter even more, now these are documents that contain the words Office and Longhorn. So it got filtered down. And then if I want to actually change the view, I can go and get the nice rich preview. And then here's the list of Better Together work that we're doing across Office and Longhorn. But now you can see Vision Document Draft. Some of these documents have previews, some of these documents don't have previews in them, but you'll start to see rich previewing, and that's part of our Visualize Organize search. And the other thing I can do is I can see documents listed by author, so I can click and look at all the authors on the system. So there's different people who've written documents. Turns out, written documents twice. One's under my long name, one's under my shorter name. And so I can actually click and see documents just by Chris Jones, documents written by Ryan Calfato, etc.
Got it.
On the system. So that's a little bit of the Visualize, Organize work that we've done in the system. You'll see that same work, you'll notice on the Start menu here, that same work happens for pictures, for music. We've got a Games Explorer in Beta 1, so people do your organization of games with really rich metadata around games. Parental controls shows up in its first version in Beta 1 around our security pillar. And then on connected...
Info cards, are those...
info cards is in the WAP.
Okay.
The WAP, and I think we renamed the WAP, so I'm sure I owed another quarter. We'll take it off my account. But that's a feature of the Indigo work, which is our messaging system for developers. So it's our web services and messaging infrastructure written in.
Now, when a developer gets the Beta 1 this? Because this is aimed still at pretty much
Developers,
really,
hardware manufacturers, IT pros who want to go kick the system, and some people who want to dive off the deep end of the pool like me. I'm just going to go right in and trial it out.
Okay.
But definitely not recommended for mainstream use.
What are the three to five things you want developers to try out when they first, in the first hours of using Windows Vista?
Depends on who the developer is. I mean, for almost every developer, I want them to make sure their application runs as standard user. And you can actually do that today without Windows Vista. You could take Windows XP, turn on standard user, and make sure your application runs. We've had standard user for a long time. Developers really have to get that right. The other thing I want them to do is just to make sure that their application, I mean, it sounds boring. I'm talking about the confident pieces. It's got to be secure. It's got to set up and install and uninstall and not leave state in weird places on the system. It confuses the heck out of users when that stuff happens. Do I sit on here?
No, yeah, I'll just stay over here.
So that's a key thing for us.
Yep.
And then once you've done that, then I'd say the next thing to do is to explore what can be done with search. Like if you have any kind of document that you save, or you have any file open that you do, or anything that you author, you want to make sure that it's able to be saved on the system, that you write an iFilter driver for it. An iFilter driver allows the indexer to crawl the document type and populate keywords, properties, and other things into the index. So when I do interesting type queries like I did in documents, your documents show up.
Okay.
The other thing is you can call from your application into our search service and search for documents of your type. So you can think about both exposing your documents to Longhorn, Windows Vista, take the quarter off. We have a tally on the whiteboard. How much money I'm going to owe? Just check it out.
Our beer fund is growing every minute here.
Remember, all money goes to the ship fund when we ship Windows Vista. I think I'm already 75 cents in the hole because you've got to get me for the WAP too. The getting your document to be able to be searched, but then also searching from your application. That's a key thing. Graphics is another key thing. I mean, we've done work in the compositing engine to make sure that you can have really rich, high-fidelity graphics. We basically made it so that, the thing that used to bug me was when you'd play a really nice, high-performance 3D game, and then you'd go into your word processor and you'd scroll and the text would tear, and you're like, isn't there a real graphics processor in here? I mean, who's driving this thing? Our new DDI fixes that. So you've got a device, it's the driver interface for the display driver.
Okay.
So, when I showed Notepad, this is a legacy application that's fully composited. You see the title bar is transparent. Let me bring up Calculator just to show you. So here's Calculator, and you'll notice that Calc and Notepad are both getting full transparency and compositing.
Run that around a little bit more so people can see it at home.
And you can see the shadow we've got here. That's all done because we've got the new composited desktop. And there are things that you can do in your application to take advantage of this really rich set of graphics capabilities in the system. Okay. So you should make sure that, just like we do with any Windows release, you should make sure that when you've got themes and toolbars that you pick up the right system colors. You'll notice that we're really trying to do menu reduction and toolbar reduction, so we've really tried to clean up the Explorer. Following the style guide for Longhorn is a great thing for you to do, not just to differentiate your app.
Put another quarter up there.
I might not make it through my $10. The meters, I feel like I'm in a cab and the meter's running, just clicking on quarter. The graphics capability is really great.
Yeah.
Then the next thing I'd say is you've got to hook yourself up to the feedback loop. We have this thing we call the vendor portal. The vendor portal is a way for you as a developer to get crash reporting information on your application software from Microsoft, or your device software from Microsoft.
How big do you have to be Adobe to get this stuff?
No, you just sign up and you can get reports on your crash. Get your crash reports from us, and we're working on really broadening out the service there. But the nice thing is we get, hundreds of thousands of crash reports that we can give back to developers with the right debugging information to help them make their applications better. And we think that, that feedback loop we found is a huge thing. And you should start, as a developer, instrumenting your application to get these nice notifications and events. So, one of the things that we've done in Windows Vista is we've instrumented the amount of time it takes to go into standby and resume. That means for
when you say instrumented, what do you mean?
We have a new instrumenting system in the operating system. It does lightweight event tracing, we call it, and that will move to tracing in the event log. So one of the things, I'll give you an example. When you go into standby, in the kernel we track a set of events that happen in standby. Right. And if we detect you're blocked, we write out some data to the event log, and then that gets published up to our server.
Got it.
And what happens then is we can go and track and say, gosh, what's the average time it took someone to stand by? our goal for Windows Vista is 1 to 2 seconds. If we find that we're trending above that goal on certain machines, we can say, well, what happened? Did the device driver block it? Did an application block it? Is the BIOS slow? What are the set of things that are really preventing us from getting in standby in the right period of time? And then we can go target that fix. Same thing is true if you're writing an application. You can start using the internet and feedback to instrument your application and publish feedback back to your site so you can really know more about what people are doing with your code. It's this amazing connected learning system that we're just starting, I think, to take advantage of. We're so rudimentary today. We just, today it's like, oh, crashes. Crashes is when the worst catastrophic thing happens. But you want to do things like we're starting to do in Windows Vista, like, my system feels slow. It's not really a crash, but we still want to know when your system feels slow and report it back so we can make your system get better over time.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing I'd say for developers they've really got to focus on doing. I think WinFX is great.
Now, what is WinFX?
WinFX is, an analogy I make is Win32 is to Win16 as WinFX is to Win32.
Okay.
It's a little bit different because Win32 is sort of a natural extension of the Win16 API set, and WinFX is the managed flavor of our API set. It's built on top of the .NET framework, and with WinFX we have 3...
So wait a sec. There's .NET framework in Windows Vista. I almost did.
I almost got you. Well, the good news is it all goes into one kitty for the ship party.
Because there was a lot of confusion on the on the blog.
The would-be version of the .NET framework is in Windows Vista. Okay. It's out there. And WinFX comes along with Windows Vista. It's on the disk. People can install it if they want to install it and use it, so it'll be around with every copy. And the nice thing about both Would-Be and WinFX is they're available down level to Windows XP. So if you're a developer and you want to target an API set, you can get a little bit broader reach for your application without being limited to just Windows Vista. You can target Windows XP as well. Yeah. And Avalon and Indigo and Would-Be are the key new things that we're talking about with WinFX. Avalon is a major update to the presentation subsystem. So think about that as how you draw bitmaps, draw vectors, text, the nice blend of web and Win32 capabilities in a single consistent framework that fits in with the class hierarchy and the way that the managed code infrastructure works. And then Indigo is our messaging subsystem underneath the covers that helps you connect two applications together with web services or expose your application or a piece of software as a web service. And the combination of Avalon, Indigo, and Would-Be together all are really going to add up to a great way to write new generations of applications to the extent that you're writing applications and managed. For people who are writing applications that are Win32 apps, there's a great set of things to do to light up on Longhorn. Making sure your system just works, supporting the reliability features we've got, including removing hangs from your app. We've got a lot of interruptible APIs now for file system calls and network calls that people often hang on. So when your mail client freezes up or you're trying to save a document and the thing hangs, now we've got the ability for you to isolate your application from that. The vendor portal work I talked about, search, visualization, making sure that you're really fitting in with that. And then if you're writing an application for IT professionals, the manageability work I talked about, which is not just the lightweight tracing, but event logs, management infrastructure through Crimson, which is our new eventing system that allows you to trap and monitor management logs. Now, some developers won't care about that because they don't sell to IT professionals. People who do sell to IT professionals are really going to want to know about it.
Yeah. I heard there's all sorts of new infrastructure underneath Windows Vista.
That's right.
Like new networking stack.
New networking stack.
What does that mean to developers? Or users?
For the most part, nothing. I mean, the first thing it's got to be is compatible. So we have a totally new networking stack that we rewrote from the ground up, basically, to support IPv6 and IPsec, and it's a very, very nice piece of work that the networking team did. So that shows up. It's in Windows Vista Beta 1.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, and it'll continue to get better over time.
Okay.
The new graphics subsystem we talked about, which is the new display model, and the window manager, which we're seeing here, which is what allows the transparency to happen. That's a pretty substantial rewrite of the components of the system. And then we've got new plumbing in the kernel, which I talked about for eventing. And updates to the memory manager, updates to eventing, updates to the way that the kernel itself reports and instruments errors. So you'll see those three things being pivotal. And on top of that, a new shell. With a new search indexer and a new way to do these things we call virtual folders, which are ways to manage and query against your data, and really make it easy for you to find nobody remembers what folder they put something in. So this whole notion of why computers are really smart, why can't they just show me all my documents? Well, Windows Vista lets you do that.
Awesome. What else was on my list to ask? The media experience, what's that going to be like? And is there anything that...
we got to keep some stuff exciting for Beta 2.
Okay.
And so you'll see in Beta 2, as we roll that out, updates to the media experience. Better pictures, better music, better video, better experiences with the eHome Media Center work that we've done, which is the 10-foot UI TV. All that stuff shows up. The tablet work, which you picked on me about earlier, that all shows up in Beta 2. The other thing that you'll see in terms of infrastructure is we've really done work to support two things. Glitch-free in the media space so that you get really high fidelity video that doesn't glitch. Particularly sound glitches are quite bad for people. Sound glitching is easy to pick up, and so we really work to add that support into the system. And then protected media path, which is a way for us to support next generation content that's going to come out there. So those are a couple of things you'll see in our next generation media support.
Can you tell me a little bit about the roadmap since we've been talking about?
Sure.
Beta 1 is
Beta 1 is tomorrow.
Okay, so when will people get that?
It should be posted tomorrow on the web for people to go download.
Now, when you said out on the web, MSDN Universal?
MSDN Universal.
Okay. And what's the rest of PDC?
PDC, September.
Okay.
And then Beta 2, end of this year, early next year. Just think about it as that time frame.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys are testing Windows Vista.
Well, the testing starts with the basic notion of only quality code goes into the build, which I talked about. And so we have a set of quality gates that test things like, we have static analysis tools that figure out if you've got a buffer overrun. We call those prefix and prefast, and there's some way to annotate your code to help. So we've got some tools that help there. We have architectural layering criteria that makes it so that people who are way up in the architecture can't take dependency or can't have a dependency from someone way low in the architecture. That causes loops that make it very hard for us to debug the system. And then we have code coverage and test metrics on top of that. So you've really got to make sure that all your code comes in with a minimum level of quality. Now it's not perfect because you haven't done integration testing yet, but it's the first start at quality in the system. And then every day we do a build, and then every day we run stress on the build. And so you get people who basically install the latest build and run stress. And stress is this bizarre set of tests that screen bubbles pop up and
I've seen that
hammers your system. And
those are running in employees' offices all over the world.
All the time. Yeah. No, Brian Valentine basically has his personal commitment to Windows Vista is every day he commits to set up all 3 of his machines and run stress before he goes home at night whenever the build comes out. So he's religious about it. Every day he just sets up 3 machines, run stress, sets up 3 machines, run stress. So it's good. And then there's just the general quality assurance and testing we do across all the teams where every day we talked about these build labs. Every day people in their feature branch, people in the VBL are basically hammering on and testing the pieces of the system, and we have full test pass we go through. We have what we call escrow, which is a period by which we don't take changes in core components before we ship something like a beta, so that allows us to harden the system even more. So we're used to doing this stuff.
Yeah.
This is the part of the cycle that we really got down, which is the end game of it.
Very cool. Why should developers come to the PDC? Are they going to see you?
I am scheduled to be at the PDC, although I'm supposed to have my 3rd child somewhere around then. Actually, my wife is.
You like to ship everything on one time,
I'm involved. So certainly, but my plans to be at the PDC. Why would I come to the PDC? Look, we've gotten a lot of feedback from folks on the PDC, and I think there are times we've done it really well and times that we haven't really hit the mark. My view is that we've really done a good job with this PDC at providing people with information. It's just hard to get anywhere else. And so we've got and I've been reviewing sessions for the PDC. We've got a set of criteria that say, look, if it's something you can just go get on MSDN or something that's already done that people have seen before, we're just not going to talk about it at the PDC. We might have birds of a feather sessions on it where people can get together and discuss it. We might have hands-on labs for people to use it, but the sessions themselves have to be new, novel, or different things that either people haven't seen before or kind of an under-the-covers look where we get the people who've really gone and architected and written the code to come talk about their work. So like Chris Anderson comes and talks about Avalon and says, look, hey, here's some of the hard trade-offs we had to make, and here's why we decided to do this versus that. That's what makes the PDC great. That plus the community of people who get together there. Plus it's just going to be a good time. I mean, let's be honest. PDC is a lot of fun. It's great to be down in LA. and do the work, and I think that it's going to be a blast. And we had a PDC in '93 where we talked about lots of stuff, and people were like, what's in, what didn't make it? Look, the only thing that didn't make it in Windows Vista really is WinFS. The rest of the stuff, Avalon, Indigo, security, the core fundamentals in the kernel, WidBe, and the work that we're doing there. The feedback we got from developers in '93 where they said, hey, we want more reach for WinFX, and we're putting it down on Windows XP. We're just delivering on that. And so it's just a nice time to come and hear what got in, what didn't get in, and get some tips and tricks from the experts.
Tell me, are we talking at all about what is going on with WinFS?
Yeah, there'll be a snapshot of where we're at with WinFS. Our plan is to go beta WinFS next year.
Yeah. WinFS, if the camera doesn't pay, says insane.
Yeah,
FS. Tell the viewers what that is and what's different about that than WinFX, which is our API. Right?
Yeah, WinFX is the name for the API set that's around. And Avalon is a component of WinFX. It exposes APIs in the WinFX family. Just like you'd think about user as being a component in Win32. User exposes a set of Win32 APIs. An API, WinFX is a definition for sort of how you should think about expressing your capabilities in a consistent and coherent language that makes sense hierarchically together.
Yeah.
Okay? WinFS is the storage component of WinFX. So just like we have NTFS in Win32, we've got WinFS in the WinFX family. And it's sort of a blend between relational database and simple file system that allows you to sort of get the best of both of those things.
Yeah. Where do people go for more information? And what do you want from people for the next month or 6 weeks between now and the PDC?
Oh, I really want. I mean, again, for developers who are looking at Longhorn, take my quarter. For developers that are looking at Windows Vista, I think you've really got to think about a couple things. The first thing is just giving us feedback on what works and what doesn't. So run your application on it and tell us what's working and what's not working. When we make major changes to the system, there are times we miss things, and we really need your feedback on that. And I'd start not just the basics of installing your application, but running with standard user accounts and letting us know what's popping for you and what's not in the system. The second thing is I'd start to kick the tires on some of the new capabilities and try them out. You really should be playing around with iFilter. You should be playing around with the new graphics model. You should be playing around with our new event management system and the lightweight event tracing. You should get familiar with Vendor Portal and the work we're doing there. You really should start to dive into that. And then start reading about the work that we've done. We've posted some documentation. That should be up tomorrow, I think, on MSDN. Documentation on the API set that's in beta 1.
I heard there's a site, WindowsVista.com, coming up
There's
too.
Windows Vista, I think it's WindowsVista.us is the site, and then Microsoft.com/WindowsVista will have all the information that you need. And I bet if you go to Microsoft.com tomorrow, it'll be fairly prominent for you to be able to find it if you get Microsoft.com/WindowsVista. But if you're an MSDN subscriber, if you go up to MSDN, we'll have all of our documentation around the work that's happened there. Just like with any beta 1, it's not all fully there. We're still working on documenting everything that's in the system. But we're very excited about the work that's gone on. It's been a long project, but we're right here with our first beta. We're right on the road to shipping. Beta 2's on the way, and it's just going to get better from here.
Now, when I was an MVP, and I beta tested Windows 95 and NT and all those fun products, do I need to be on the official tech beta or some secret beta program to have you guys listen to me? Or
no.
Okay.
No, you just send us feedback. I think there's a place to send feedback off on MSDN or on the Windows Vista site. And certainly, if you have our beta, there's we put the old how to report a bug right here, and you can just if you're using the beta, just click and report a bug and let us know.
Awesome. Well, thanks for spending some time with me.
No,
you guys
my
have any
pleasure.
questions?
He owes us $1.
That's
About
right.
$1, so I think we'll let it slip.
I'll put it in the ship kitty.
There you go.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us, and we're really looking
Hey,
forward
nice to finally meet you.
Yeah,
I've been reading your blog, but I want to meet you face to face.
Hopefully I get most of it accurate.
It's all good.
Good.
It's
Thank
all
you.
good. Thanks.